A Freshwater Perspective. Growing up in Nova Scotia, I learned to appreciate the outdoors and the many different ecosystems that exist here. Summertime was an opportunity to explore what Nova Scotia had to offer. I would say the places that we visited the most were Nova Scotia's many freshwater lakes. Of all the water on Earth, less than 1% is freshwater from water bodies like lakes or streams. Out of this 1%, 1/5 of it is found in Canada. Throughout the summer, my family would go all over the province and find new lakes to fish and boat on or places to camp that had lakes for us to swim in. The audio clip I chose reminds me of the feeling of being submerged in the water and reminds me that below the surface, there is another world of many plants and animals. Though beautiful to be around, lakes are more complex than we realize from a surface perspective. For my family, lakes were a place for recreation and relaxation. However, for much of Nova Scotia's wildlife, these lakes are much more. The greatest abiotic factor within a lake's ecosystem would be its fresh water. There are three main depth layers to a lake. The first is called the epilimnion, which is the layer closest to the lake's surface. This area is where sunlight can break through and heat the water. The second layer is called the metalimnion and is a very thin layer where the water changes temperature as the heat from the sun pushes through less and less. The last layer is the hypolimnion, which is the deepest layer of the lakes where no sun pushes through to heat the water and therefore temperatures remain cold. The shallow zone where many plants and some fish inhabit is the littoral zone, whereas the limnetic zone is past this drop point, signaling deeper waters below. The biotic factors of lakes include its many aquatic plants and animals. Animals are able to live and shelter within bundles of aquatic plants and provide areas for fish to lay their eggs under the water and areas for water birds such as ducks to make their nests near the lake's shore. These plants are able to survive in the water through their adaptations. Depending on the plant, these adaptations depend on whether or not plants are fully or partially submerged within the water. Underwater plants have adaptations that keep them sturdy within the water currents, such as long roots for anchoring. They also absorb nutrients provided by the water through diffusion on their leaves. In plants that are partially submerged, they have adaptations that allocate their energy towards the top of their stems in order to have better access to the sunlight over the lake's surface. Energy allocation is important for organisms to obtain resources and survive in more efficient ways and will result in trading off one function for another. In this case, these plants will trade off the greater presence of roots normally to absorb these nutrients and allocate more energy instead to gain greater stem growth that will keep them upright to have greater access to sunlight. Aquatic plants are producers when looking at the ecological network of food webs within these ecosystems. The consumers include wildlife such as snails, fish, frogs, or beavers, and the decomposers include various bacterium, all of which create a community of animals that are capable of coexistence. Unfortunately, lakes are not immune to human disturbance. In recent years, lakes have been experiencing introductions of invasive species that create disturbance within these communities, particularly new species of fish. Whether on purpose or on accident, humans cause invasive species to spread due to the release of live bait into unnative lakes, which then reproduce and take over lake ecosystems. This causes other species that are native to the lake to dwindle in numbers and completely disrupt the present communities. Other disturbance that affects lakes is eutrophication, which occurs when excess nutrients get within lake water, causing overblooming of algae. These excess nutrients are often human-induced, from practices such as water pollution of chemicals and fertilizers that contain plant nutrients like phosphorus. These algal blooms absorb the majority of nutrients and oxygen, which kills other organisms native to the lake that are dependent on these resources. Human-induced climate change is also speeding these processes up, making it a major problem for lake ecosystem survival. More care needs to be done to protect our lakes. Underappreciation for the natural systems of the world is now being recognized as visible, irreversible effects are being seen. It is important to acknowledge that most of the photos and videos in this presentation were taken in Nova Scotia, which is in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. The Mi'kmaq have valued this land since the beginning and dedicate their lives to respecting and protecting the land. Their principle of two-eyed seeing is crucial to the reversal of damage that humans have brought onto many ecosystems, including our lakes. Two-eyed seeing combines indigenous knowledge learned through life experiences, along with Western research knowledge. We can learn from the Mi'kmaq perspective on how to conserve and appreciate our lakes, which is crucial in keeping respect for not just the animals within these ecosystems, but in keeping healthy ecosystems that we show respect for. Conservation efforts go hand in hand with Mi'kmaq values, and it is time we use this knowledge to protect our lakes before it is too late. Thanks for watching. All photos and videos included in this presentation are my own, with locations specified on each photo. The design and formatting of this presentation were completed using Microsoft PowerPoint. The reference for the audio clip "Underwater Sound" used in the background of this video is included here, and my reference page is at the end.